welcome to another episode of the Rooted Connections podcast. My name is Uju. I'm here with my girl.
Hi, everybody. It's your girl, Pam. I hope everyone's been doing really well. And yeah, welcome. Welcome to hopefully another very interesting conversation.
It's always interesting.
Yeah, always.
So thanks for joining us again. We really appreciate you coming back. So today, I think we're starting with an icebreaker. So we're playing this game. So I've got a card. I've got some words that I'm not supposed to say to describe the word. And Pam is supposed to guess what the word is. It's a bit like charades.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah. Okay. So, picked my card.
I hope it's not hard.
This one is not hard. Okay, so it's a country.
Okay.
The one that Nigeria is always dragging jollof rice with.
Oh, Ghana. That's actually really easy.
It was easy. So yeah, so the words I was not supposed to say: Accra, Gold Coast, Kwame Nkrumah, Black Star, or Chale.
Okay. Oh.
So
No.
yeah, that was simple.
Okay. Let me do my one. Oh, this one is hard. Oh. Why did I pick such a hard card? But I'll try. So
Oh, you picked me. I just took the first one. So you selected.
I selected the card.
Wow.
I don't know what I was thinking, but you got this. You can do it.
Pray for me.
So, it was a hit song.
Song.
Yeah.
This is not my strength now.
You have
Oh
to wait
God.
now. It was a hit song
Uh-huh.
for black girls,
Hey.
an empowerment song. One of the singers on the song was part of Destiny's Child. I cannot help you more than this. So.
Empowerment.
And she collaborated with an Afrobeat singer.
Afrobeat singer.
Yes. This is so easy. I can't help you any more than this.
Afrobeat.
Afrobeat singer.
The Beyonce sing any song with Afrobeat singer.
Oh my God.
Oh, we sang
My
with-
sister
We
needs
sang with
help.
Wizkid. I can't do this song, please. Help me.
King girl.
Is that empowerment?
Yes, now.
Is it empowering?
Of course it is.
Hey.
Yes, now.
I should know it was Beyonce, but I can't
Feel
remember.
comfortable in your brown skin.
Beggy.
That's the whole idea of the song.
Okay, sorry. Beyonce,
God.
please, sorry. Sorry. Brown skin girls, apologize. I hold my hand up.
Can I help you?
I told you picked this girl. She picked that particular word on purpose because she knows me how this music something. We are not.
See, that's why you need to up your music game.
Well,
I'm sure your husband would have got this on the first try.
no.
No.
I can guarantee you. I can see it. I can sense in my spirit that he will not get it. If it was some other person maybe. Okay, I'm sorry. Beyonce, please forgive me. Brown skin girls, please forgive me. I don't know our national anthem. Now I do.
Please.
I will do better.
Thank you.
But you too. We are very wicked. Next time, pick.
I actually thought that was a very easy one. Oh.
Don't worry. Next time, I will show you Pepe. You want everybody to know my
That's
weaknesses
true.
in life.
See,
It's
that's why
okay.
you need to do your
No problem.
Up
You
your
want to
game.
show me
your
up.
game.
I will up my game. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. 1-1. I mean 1-0.
1-0.
Next time.
Mm-hmm.
So Pamela won this
I won this
episode.
one.
She
Thank
won
you.
this one.
Okay.
It's okay. I accept it. So thanks for joining us. So today our topic is one that is very should I call it? Is it relevant now? So we're talking about the Japa Dream. Or is it really a dream? Is it a nightmare? Now, we are on Japa was 20 years ago.
20 plus.
So we're not quite in the current wave of those living in Nigeria. But so we're going to be talking about it today more from, the reasons why people are leaving and some of our observations as people who have been here and announcing this new wave of Nigerians coming in, which is very welcome, I think.
Yeah.
But a welcome
It's refreshing.
for us anyway. I can't speak for every other person, but us for us Nigerians is quite nice
It's
to have
yeah.
more of us here.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking from that aspect of what we've seen, or our observations, and what we kind of think that will help people who are coming in at now. So let's speak about moving here 20 years ago. What was that like for you?
It was for me. It was exciting. Leaving home, my first ever experience. I actually didn't initially consider it to be scary because as we explore throughout the podcast and obviously parts of ourselves unravel, one of the interesting things about my Japa experience was because of the way that I was raised, I was sort of a bit sheltered.
Yeah.
Um, and I think for me, leaving home was that escape that I thought I needed at the time. So leaving home was for me, I wasn't thinking, this is, so I'm going to be homesick or no. For me, it was finally,
You
I'm
are
going to be
leaving.
independent. I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. I don't have mommy, I don't have daddy. I don't have any of those things. So I was, yeah. And luckily I went to, like we've said earlier on, the college that we went to, we had a lot of the people who went to college with went to the same university.
Yeah.
So that helped in terms of integrating. So I didn't have that feeling of missing home
Yeah.
in the way that some people might do when you don't know anyone. And to some degree, I already had family here anyway. So coming to England before on holiday was also not all, a new experience for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't a crazy experience. I really felt I needed it at the time and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I suppose for us, okay, of course, then, Japa was not really a thing, was not a term. And then we were not leaving Nigeria with a sense of, I'm leaving
Pursuing.
never to come back, so to speak. It was kind
That
of,
changed over time.
yes. So we were leaving as, okay, you're going for school. And then, okay, so I think my next question was what was because we left Nigeria with the mind of we're all going back after to do NYSC, which I never did.
Till today.
I'm sorry. We were all going to go back to do NYSC and, start life in Nigeria. So what was the turning point for you where you decided, actually, I'm not going back?
Man. I'm shameless. Yeah.
Man, wow. Okay.
Simply put, I mean, obviously, and I think apart from that, yeah, that was I would say
Yeah,
the
yeah.
overarching reason. But I think that over time, when you have sort of integrated into a particular lifestyle and society, you want more. You want to, and again, it depends on mindset as well, and what you want for your life. So it got to a point that, weighing up everything, I didn't really feel going back was what I needed or wanted to do.
Yeah. So I went back very briefly after uni. It was a few months. And I think for me, why I came back, so it was either do NYSC or come back and do my master's. And for me, it was the freedom. And let's say I came into adulthood in the United Kingdom.
Yes. Yeah.
And there was now that disparity between how I felt in myself and how my parents viewed me. Because when I left the house, I was a kid.
You're a baby.
Do you understand? So I went home. I've lived by myself for 4 years. And then you're now going back home and they're telling you have to be home by 6 o'clock. And it was just, I was like, nah, I can't deal with this. It seems trivial, but is the fact that you go back, I went back home and it's back to almost like Bonnie House conditions.
Yeah.
So I spent the rest of that summer with my sister. because obviously that was a little bit more freedom in her house. And then came back to do my master's. And well, similar to you, Sha, I never left because of marriage, but yeah. But we made a joint decision that we kind of wanted to give it a shot at, doing life here.
Yeah.
And I think every time that I've gone back since, you start noticing the differences in the society. And I think maybe because I never lived in Nigeria as an adult, it just seemed a lot more stressful, a lot harder.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually look forward to. Since I've been here, I think I can count on my fingers the number of times I've actually gone back, which I'm going to work on because I think more than anything else, for the sake of my children, I do want them to know who they are, where they're from,
Yeah.
and just be able to connect to those values and who this is, how mommy grew up, this is how daddy grew up. So I think it's, for me, really important that we do that. But I hear you, because I think for me now, I can only take Nigeria in bites,
Small doses.
small doses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know and it'd be interesting to hear people that have actually done the reverse, where they've lived here, and they've done life here, but for whatever reason they've chosen to return. It would be interesting to hear their views and how they've adjusted back to that life. But a few times I've returned, I get really excited. There's always this excitement when you land,
Yeah.
and that that hit, that hit when it hits you. Oh, it's like, oh my god, it's hot. It's so hot. And the food, it's always something I look forward to, even though I can pretty much make most of it. But there's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a
And,
difference.
is that one of those things that everywhere you go, you know that the food kind of tastes nice to an, it might not be the best, but like here, a lot of, because our palate is the way it is. Some restaurants are hit and miss. You're like, what's this nonsense?
Exactly. But there are some places
Nigeria,
where,
there's a standard.
and just on a bit of a backstory, when we're in college, I don't know if you remember, even though we're all these sort of what they describe as ajebota children, we always used to look forward to this. I think there was this
What?
guy that used to help us buy,
Ghana High.
yeah, canteen food.
It was Ghana High. We used to go and buy Ghana High jollof.
But yeah, I mean, that food, that vibe. There's a vibe in Nigeria that you can't replicate it anywhere.
No.
You can only try, but it's just different.
It's different.
Nigerians are happy people, and it's interesting to see that when you actually go, even with the level of hardship that people are experiencing, people
Yep.
still find ways to be joyful.
100%. And you find people in the depth of poverty, but they're still showing kindness to others. They're still happy. They're still hopeful. Tomorrow is another day.
I mean, I think
Tomorrow
that
will be
phrase,
better.
every Nigerian, tomorrow go better. Every
better.
Nigerian knows that phrase.
That's
Go
it.
better. Like, we've been,
Do you understand?
since
And
I
it
was a
is well.
child, and it is well, exactly. We're still saying those things, but I think after like 2-3 weeks, I don't know if, I mean, I start to get like, nah, I need to leave.
Yeah, and I think but funny thing is, for those speaking to people who have come recently, I was talking with my sister. So she's moved, my older sister moved, I think it's now going on 3 years, I think, almost 3 years. But she still speaks of Lagos. So for like, man, I miss Lagos. I want to go back to Lagos. And I think Jet is because of that. That's what I've put it down to. The fact that I didn't adult in Lagos or in Nigeria. So that fondness from the everyday hustle and bustle, I didn't build it. So I think it goes back down to what we're saying now. So what are the reasons you think people are leaving?
Obviously, we wouldn't. I think the truth is that if Nigerians had a choice, many people would want to stay.
I agree with that.
But unfortunately, it's become such a dire situation for many, that where they have to count the costs for themselves and for their children, and things are really difficult. Things are hard, and people are having to make very, very hard decisions about relocating no matter what, just to give their families a better life, whatever better. Because for some people, it's like, what, I'm already at the lowest of low. So what could be any worse than this?
Yeah, so I think people at the lowest of low, so to speak, I think we've always had that dream or them dreaming of going, even from when we were kids. You've always heard of all these people that, go to, be it Italy or one of these places, just they know what they're going to do there is not the best. They know the conditions are not the best, but
Yeah.
anything is better than what I have now. So that has always existed to an extent. But now, even those who are comfortable, those who are supposedly in good jobs, are all leaving. And to your point, is because you're looking at their children and thinking, I need better for them. I want better. I was talking with someone who has recently moved, and they were talking about, like, really looking at the standard of education, for example, where I went to QC. It wasn't expensive to go to QC,
Yeah, but
but
being
the
there was,
standard of education
yeah.
at the
On
time,
average, like, federal schools back then, getting into a federal school, you were seen as being in a school with a very good reputation,
yep.
with fantastic level of education on average.
And I remember how hard I was drilled and worked just to make sure I got into QC. So the standard was really high. But now, to get a decent education,
That's
you're
paid through.
paying through your nose. In fact, sometimes even more expensive than a private school outside of Nigeria.
Oh yeah,
Is more expensive, some of them, than some private schools even here in the UK. So you're thinking, I might as well go and pay it. Go and earn the pounds and pay the pounds there.
yeah.
And so it's I think the point you made, that I don't think a lot of people, if conditions were better,
Oh
why
yeah.
would you leave your
Nobody leaves because it's home. It's home. And that's why, like I said, you get that warmth when you go. There's that feeling of, you get this nostalgia, because that's, like you said, we grew up, we are formative adult years was here. But we still have very fond memories
of
of
course.
growing up in Nigeria. And I still remember a lot of my childhood memories. I would never trade it. And sometimes I look at my kids and I'm like, wow, you don't know, like, what life was like for me as a child. Describing it to them, they can't relate.
They can't.
Because growing up as a child, I grew up in an estate where parents go to work, leave their kids at home. It was like a community. We might just have maybe one or two parents that are at home. So obviously we know who is going to, who's mommy or daddy. If there was any trouble,
We know where to run
but
to.
most of us would just be out. We eat breakfast, have a shower, come out and play the whole day. And we'll just go in and out of each other's houses. It was so free. It was beautiful. But now I couldn't do that with my kids.
I know. So that's, should I call it that, community upbringing? I think it's something that is lost now, largely, in a lot of places. So is that something that's, why would you say that's just down to us, even in Nigeria, adapting a more westernized method of living? Or is it just the fact that a lot of people have just left, so your tribe is gone, so you just have to?
I don't think so. I think that values are shifting a lot generally. I think that the world is generally a scary place now.
It
It's
is,
not as
actually.
safe as it was when we were children.
There is that.
And in Nigeria particularly, I would say that security is a massive issue for many, where you just cannot take things for granted. You cannot just leave your children to just be children,
It's scary,
because
isn't
of the
it?
things that this kind of stories that are coming out. But what is driving that? What is driving is the economic, is the state of affairs. More and more people are turning to crime because it's almost like things are really hard. I mean, let's not even go into the exchange rates and all of that. It's ridiculous right now. People are really struggling. Hence why this dream, when the opportunity comes for many people, they take it. Interestingly, I was having a conversation with my mom, who she comes to visit every now and again, and she was talking to me about one of her friends' sons who has a relatively good job on what many would dream to will see as a dream job in Nigeria, but he had the opportunity to go to Canada and he's taking it, and his mom is struggling to accept that because she's like, "Ah, you have a fantastic job here, why are you leaving everything?" But I said to her, I was like, I get it. I understand. I fully get it, because these are not decisions that people are making lightly.
Likely. Yeah.
There's a lot that people are taking into consideration, because it's not even about money anymore. It's not just about money. There's a lot of things that are bothering people, that are making them, that is driving this. You know what? And I think it's down to security, actually.
Yeah, security, and not just physical security in terms of is financial security is a thing, because we don't have some of the protections that are that you have elsewhere.
Yeah.
Who was it I was talking with the other day? I was like, Nigeria, they can just sack you a week's
Oh yeah. Oh
notice.
God. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And for at least in the UK, they have to give you 30 days notice if you're a permanent staff. Just so it's just setting or secure. And if you have a good job, exchange rate is changing by the day.
Yeah.
So what was a good salary a
Yeah.
year ago
It's not.
is no longer a good salary.
And even in investments as well, a lot of people are withdrawing their investments from Nigeria now, because it's just not a safe place to do investments, because you just, from day to day, you don't know what's happening. So I get it. I understand why.
100%, I get it. So we're also going to talk about, for people who have come, what are some of the things that you have kind of noticed that could be different, could be better, or that is fantastic?
I think one of the sort of themes that sort of, when you have those conversations with people who have just moved, I think it's that cultural shock.
Yeah.
Is that it really hits hard. For us, I wouldn't say that it was. I think we had our own, but it was such a long time ago. And some of the things that we struggled with as
Kids, kind
as
of,
young
where it
adults,
was inconsequential. So you learned,
Yeah,
by the time some of the things become relevant to your adult life, you'd learned it already.
exactly. And you've kind of learned the system. You've learned to navigate things. So, but some people are coming with their families. Parents are coming with their children, and labor is cheap in Nigeria. You get house help, you have driver,
People are enjoying, no.
have people that, some people, I've heard, and it sounds really weird, but some people will say, oh, I can't remember the last time I cooked.
Yeah.
Because you have people that will probably go to the market, you have a chef at home, and what on average salary is probably about 60K naira, and that's actually for some people
60K for who?
Quite a good salary
For who? The cook?
for the cook.
60K is plenty for some people.
Serious.
Ha.
Now, see, for me, I didn't even know that. For me, I'm even thinking that's actually what average salary should
No, what it should be. I agree with you. That's a decent amount. And you think, when I do the conversion in my head, I'm thinking that's.
I mean, that's.
But I've heard of people collecting 30K.
And again, so you now compare that to having that access to such support day to day, where you don't have to think about cleaning the house, you don't have to think about getting the kids to school, you don't have to think about those things, and now you're the one having to do everything. And then you come here, you have to get the kids ready, you have to get them to school, you probably won't have access to a car immediately, so you have to learn public transport. It's a lot. So it's very overwhelming.
It is. And sometimes it's some of these costs that are not, you think, you can't really understand the full toll of taking all those things on till you've had to do it. So it's not something that is easy to say, because looking at it from our side, we that we've been here, it's kind of like, you should have counted the cost before coming. We can be very quick to jump
To
to
say
that
that.
statement. What did you expect? But I don't think it's one of those things that you can fully understand the toll that it takes till you actually get here. But I will say one of the things that I've noticed about people who have worked in Nigeria and have moved here, from working with a few of them, is just how hardworking Nigerians are.
Oh yeah.
You kind of lose track sometimes of just how industrious we can be, of how sharp we can be. As in, I've worked with some who have obviously because of visa issues are coming to do graduate scheme, because to leave Nigeria they've had to use uni to come. So this is somebody who is not your standard
Oh
graduate.
yeah.
But because, doing a graduate scheme with a big company is how you can, get access to your visa to be done easily for you. But yeah, talking to some of these graduates, I put that in quotes because these are people in their early 30s, some of them, is just how industrious, how sharp we can be.
I mean, there's a reason why they say Nigeria no dey carry last.
I'm telling you.
Put Nigeria in any I mean, it's difficult already, and I think the society in Nigeria is what prepares you because it can't get any worse. So when you find yourself in a situation, you have to learn. We are fantastic at adapting ourselves
100%.
to situations
100%.
because it's a live or die situation. It's die hard. I need to I need to make this work regardless.
I work with someone, he says, look, when these things are getting so stressful, he remembers Tinubu economy. It's like, yo, I will accept this
I
thing.
gotta keep
I will
going.
knuckle my head down and do the job. But my hat's off to a lot of the people who have come. You guys are
The real MVPs.
as in
Honestly, because I don't know. And obviously my life trajectory has obviously gone in a different direction, but I don't know whether I would have been able to cope with moving now with a family abroad. I don't know. I probably will, but I don't know.
obviously depending on the country you're transitioning to and how soft your landing is when you get there. But I agree with you to a point that having done adulting here for as long as we have, there's a resilience to an extent that we've lost. If you see, because when you're in a system that works, you've not had to fight for the basics,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So you kind of lose a little bit of that resilience until you are pushed.
Oh yeah.
But Nigeria, every day, nothing is a given.
hustle.
Nothing is a given. So
So,
that fighting spirit, I love it.
but that said, some of the challenges as well is for me, even in the sort of being adaptable, I still find certain things that I struggle with the recent sort of community of people who have jackpot. And one of the things we'll probably explore it a bit more as we move along throughout the podcast. But one of the things that I personally noticed is going back to the cultural differences and shocks is
Yeah.
being a social worker. I know that we've had a huge surge in referrals
Yeah.
for sort of Black African families where there's this huge way in disparity in which we parent and the way that parents in Nigeria, I mean African context, where physical chastisement is a big part of the way that we parent. And coming here, and this is a totally unacceptable way of parenting. So we get a lot of those referrals. And, for many, it's like,
I don't understand what I've done.
disciplining my child. Who are you to tell me how to discipline my child? And I would say it from two lenses. Again, being a social worker and the profession I'm in, one of the things that I sort of promote in practice for me is if people are coming into your society, you have to also be open to knowing about them, knowing about
100%.
who they are,
Understand their context.
So there's that drive for being culturally appropriate, being culturally sensitive, and just try and know people and why. What drives people to make decisions the way that they do. But at the same time, there also needs to be, on your part, educating yourself, whereby, okay, you've come to an unknown land. You don't, what are the things that are
What am I supposed to
easily accessible?
learn? Yeah, yeah.
So it's a two-way for me. It's a two. So it's one of the things that I would definitely say that coming here, you need to do your homework. I think it's really important, really essential, to know some of the values and some of the things that you have to quickly adapt yourself to,
Understanding
not
the
to get
system.
into unnecessary hot water.
I think even the term that you even use, physical chastisement, such a big, it's heavy word.
Where you
But
hit your child.
yeah, but but you see it as physical, but that person is seeing it as discipline.
Yeah.
So that in itself is such a gulf.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, and I think another struggle that I've kind of noticed, speaking about children as well, is the dealing with the children now being told all this. You can call social worker, your mother cannot discipline you. So the children are being fed with this influx of information, but at home they are not really getting the balance, if that makes sense. So it's now conflict at home, and some children have gone to go and report unnecessary things, if I should say, or not even understanding the impact of, because of what they have said. You now go and say, oh,
I
my
think that's
mom.
important.
It's quite important that you also need to educate your children as to what they are going to be telling you in school and what it means.
Yeah.
Because these children don't understand that if you go and say it and you get taken away, getting into the foster system in this, your eye will see.
And like I said, we are seeing quite a lot of, there's a massive disparity with, black children going into the foster care system, which in my opinion, actually, if the right support is being put in family homes, those children will thrive a lot better at home rather than being in foster care. And, we don't have, again, going back to the disparities within the system, there's not a lot of black African foster carers.
Yeah.
So, there's that gap as well where children are now being seen as difficult or not being managed properly because they don't, their cultures are different. You don't understand. Imagine a child that's just come from Nigeria with their family, taken away and put in with a white foster carer. So it can be quite confusing. And these things are happening. It's the reality.
And when that child starts acting up, it's like, but you don't understand the child in any way, or even if the child is acting up because that person, the foster carer, is not equipped as well
to handle
and to, I use the word in quotes, discipline that child, to put them in check. Obviously discipline doesn't necessarily mean beating. So the proper discipline, they are not used, they don't have the tools to manage that child, so the child just continues to spiral. So I think that I noticed that as well. I think one that is also quite shocking for me is, should I say, our bedside manner sometimes. Like, I went to the hospital. I had to take my my daughter to A&E, and it was a Nigerian doctor. It was very fresh. Now, because he's seen my name, the first thing you would expect, a doctor walks into, the first thing you will do is introduce yourself. That's the basic. But he just go, hey, saw the name, Mrs. Come, what's wrong with her? And I'm like, but at this point, I've been waiting 2 hours. I just want to be out of here. And it's the way he's talking to me, and I know he's talking to me that way because I'm Nigerian. You don't know me from anywhere. You don't know. At least give me the basics. Who are you? What is your role? Oh, I am the consultant. Kini on the. I am the doctor. I'm the doctor. Who are you? None of that. None of that.
Yeah.
And then to make matters worse, what he tells me is different to what he writes in the notes. So it was when scarlet fever was going round, and then he tells me it's not, that he doesn't think it is. And then they come back, and the prescription is written was for penicillin. And I'm like, but I know that's what they used to treat scarlet fever. So I told the nurse, I'm like, hang on a minute. He told me it wasn't.
Prescribe this, yeah.
So why is she getting this? And you could just tell the woman was frustrated. This guy had been frustrating her the entire night. And then I could overhear him chatting with another doctor. Oh boy, how far now? So that one came in, was like, oh boy, how far now? They're discussing shift and what they were going to do after. And I'm like, why should I be hearing this conversation? Then I overheard that she went back to him, because the A&E is quite, it's quite small, the children's unit. She went back to him and was like, you need to go speak to the patient. She's a bit confused about what you've said and what
Yeah.
you've prescribed. And it's like, yeah, why is she confused now? Why is she confused? I was like, for goodness sake. So I had to message a friend of mine who's a consultant pediatrician. Please, this medicine, even if it's not, if it's not scarlet fever, if it's another infection, is it okay? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. It's a very general antibiotic. It's fine. Just take it and go.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I know in Nigeria it can pass, because I know doctors are seen as, they know their stuff, and they are the whatever in the hospital, they are the
Yeah.
authority.
Yeah.
And maybe that works. But when you come here, you have to calm down and learn how do people talk to each other.
But and you see that again is one of the things I struggle with when I go back to Nigeria. You see, you go into a restaurant or you go into a shop, and there's where here customer service is such a thing.
Ah,
The way you're spoken to, even the police, there's a way that the police they need to, I know not generally, but even when police stops you and they're asking a question, in comparison to how a police officer stops you in Nigeria, there's such a massive difference.
of course.
Even in healthcare, coming back to your point, the people that receive basic healthcare in Nigeria, there's a way they are treated. When you're asking for free things, when you're going to general hospital, the way that they attend to you is so different to when you go to the really expensive hospitals, because you're paying a lot of money
Of course.
to get healthcare and support. So, for him, he has seen you as, because
That's
that's how they behave. That, unfortunately, that's the reality. Customer service is not a thing at all. Really rare that you find. And I think now, thank God for social media, people are having to learn that very quickly. Social media is teaching people
Very
that
quickly.
you do anyhow, you see anyhow.
For real. For real.
Yeah.
Because the way that guy spoke to me, if I did a complaint, I'm sure
Yeah.
he would have gotten himself into serious trouble. But I just
Well, it's
needed to get
because,
out of
you
there.
see, the difference is you could understand and empathize with, or should I say, give him a little bit of grace. But it could have been somebody else that did not understand that and could have made a complaint.
100%. And because he just looked at my name, what if I was Nigerian by name, but born and bred here? So I have no understanding of that kind of the way, that kind of behavior. I could have gotten really upset.
Yeah.
And that guy could potentially now not be able to work in that particular hospital anymore for a while, because I issued a serious complaint. Especially for the fact that he told me one thing and prescribed something else.
Yeah.
That is now getting to the line of borderline incompetence.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So I think for me, just on a final note, is we totally understand the pull and the struggles and the reasons why people make those decisions. But in saying that, there has to be a balance. When you're coming, please do your homework. Make sure you understand the why that you're coming. I know for some people it's that Nigeria is hard, blah blah blah. But I know people that also, they've come and they've seen that the Japa Dream is not actually,
It's not a dream.
not working. It's not a dream for them, because some people haven't actually taken their time to really do their homework. What are you going there to achieve? What are your, what's your immediate plan? What is your 5-year plan? What's your 10? Those things are really important questions you need to ask. And for some people, it's like, let me shall get there, I'll figure it out. You can't figure it out. It's not a matter of let me get there and figure it out. You might be able to, but for most people, it's like you say, if you don't have that soft landing, or if you don't have the knowledge or the know-how of how the system works, you quickly find yourself in a position where it's not tenable, and you want to, the only way is back.
And in fairness, I think, and I know a few people who have come, and despite doing the homework, it's just not panned out. It's just not worked out because your situation is just not built for. And there's no shame in that.
At all.
There is no shame in that.
You
If
should
it's
have a
not,
home to go back to.
do you understand?
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it's not working for you, there's no need to drag it out.
No.
Go back, and because I feel like I've seen a lot of people who have stayed for too long just because of that. Nigeria, I can't go back, or the shame, or and in that you're making the situation even worse.
Yeah.
So, but whatever your situation, to live or not to live, everybody is different. But please, let's all try and incorporate, not just understand where you're going, but the system. Otherwise, it's our children that get harmed
Yeah.
in
Oh,
the
yeah.
process.
I totally agree.
Okay, so we like to live with a quote. And today's is, they'll tell you you're too loud, that you need to wait your turn and ask the right people for permission. Do it anyway. On that note, we'll see you on the next one.
Please, 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 like we always say, if there's anything that we've said today that resonates with you, reach out. We're always open to having conversations with you guys. We always love to connect with you guys. So please, please, please reach out to us. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and see you on the next one.